Hello everyone. It's the weekend, Friday, last day of this week, and let's just jump straight into the highlights for today. So we have our first highlight as from Stolen Focus. Each of us can only ever experience a small sliver of what it's like to be a human being alive today. Riemann told me. But as you read fiction, you can see inside inside other people's experiences. It doesn't vanish when you put down the novel. When you later meet a person in the real world, you'll be better able to imagine what it's like to be them. Reading a factual account may make you more knowledgeable, but it doesn't have this empathy expanding effect. Right. So this highlight is talking about how reading fiction helps develop empathy, and that was a surprise to me. I don't read as much fiction as much as I read non-fiction books. I do read fiction sometimes, but it's very less comparatively. And for example, I might have read something like 35 books this year, and probably like maybe two or three of them might be non-fiction. So anyway, this was really intriguing to me, that and there's a whole description around this. It's not just this particular highlight, right? There's a whole study and everything. Like the author refers to all of that. That how reading fiction helps us gain insight into different characters, different decisions that they make, different scenarios that they go through, and everything, and how that impacts, how that builds our own, like let's say empathy muscles, or our ability to relate to other people, whom we meet in real life. So yeah, it was definitely an eye opener for me, and I've been more conscious of, okay, picking up a fiction book now and then, more frequently than before. Let's move on. 4,000 weeks. In this situation, making a choice, picking one item from the menu, far from representing some kind of defeat, becomes an affirmation. It's a positive commitment to spend a given portion of time doing this instead of that. Actually, instead of an infinite number of other that, because this, you've decided, is what counts the most right now. In other words, it's precisely the fact that I could have chosen a different and perhaps equally valuable way to spend this afternoon that bestows meaning on the choice I did make. So this is more in, I can realize that this probably is not very, um, it's not very understandable straight away. I mean, of course, with the sections around it, it does make more sense. But this is more about, when you say, so when you say yes, you're saying yes to a million things. But when you say no, you're saying no. Did I mess it up? Wait, if I'm saying yes, I could be saying yes to a million things. But if I'm saying no, yeah, okay, I'm forgetting. But the idea being that, in controlling our time, our ability to say, uh, our ability to decide that, okay, this is what I'm going to do at this particular moment, and saying no to everything else. So that's what gives life meaning. Again, like I said, this is not a conventional time management book. So over here you have this idea of, um, that you're spending your time, and when you pick something, and there may be other very valuable, very important things that you need to do, but you have chosen this particular thing, and that is what gives your decision a meaning, and your the time that you're spending, it gives that meaning, because you have decided that, okay, this is what you're going to do, as against, okay, saying yes to everything and then not doing any of them properly. That's the highlight. And I think I messed up that other reference. I think that would have illustrated this perfectly, but yeah, anyway, let's move on. Effortless. The end state is of course desirable, but if the first step doesn't feel doable, many people will simply give up before they start. So this is again very similar to what we've been discussing in procrastination and everything. So if you keep your end state in mind, that okay, this is what this is going to look like, it is desirable, it's very appealing, and you can't wait to get you can't wait to get started. And again, from other reading that I've been doing, related to dopamine and everything, this is something that's out of the reach. And it has this potential for, like the book said it, the molecule of more reward prediction error, and you feel excited to start. But if the first step doesn't feel doable, the thing that is in your reach right now, it's you're not even going to start. And the point in this particular book is, you identify your first action, again with, again, a common theme, that we have been seeing in other books like Getting Things Done. So, define your define the first action that you need to take, break it down, define the first action and start over there. Let's move on. Show your work. When you find things you genuinely enjoy, don't let anyone else make you feel bad about it. Don't feel guilty about the pleasure you take in the things you enjoy. Celebrate them. When you share your taste and your influences, have the guts to own all of it. Don't give in to the pressure to self edit too much. Yeah, this highlight appeals to me again, because I think, I suppose all of us have this tendency, right? Where we're not very very certain of what we are producing. Okay, we start thinking about, okay, what will this person think and what will that person think, and in the end we don't produce anything at all. We don't begin anything. Again, that's the subject of other book, that Poke the Box, that's come up multiple times in this highlight so far. Show your work is, it's like a new, I think this is the first time it's come here, but yeah, it's an older book that I read. So yeah, I think this highlight is fairly straightforward. You enjoy something, just get started. You don't have to please each and every person. And sometimes it's a perfectionist tendency that, okay, I have to think of every possible person on the planet and imagine what would they think, if I'm going to present this work. The point is of this highlight and many other reading that I'm doing, just get started. This video series is actually exercise in that effort. Just get started. It's not perfect. There is I'm sure I can do this a lot better and with a lot more structure. But for me, the important thing is just getting started. Just I'm reading the highlights anyway, and I enjoy this video production and everything. I enjoy consistency. Just get started. It's not perfect. Maybe I'll reach close to perfection someday, but for now, I'm just worried about getting started every day. Let's move on. So good they can't ignore you. Doing things we know how to do well is enjoyable, and that's exactly the opposite of what deliberate practice demands. Deliberate practice is above all an effort of focus and concentration. That is what makes it deliberate, as distinct from the mindless playing of scales or hitting of tennis balls that most people engage in. So the highlight over here emphasizes that, I think, maybe just yesterday we discussed about this. What does deliberate mean? I'm making a conscious choice about doing something, as against, you know having myself flow in whatever's happening right now. Everybody's doing this, okay, I'll also do the same thing. Whereas deliberate practice is a conscious decision that, okay, no, I'm choosing my time to spend in this particular way. Reference to a previous highlight. So it is not enjoyable. You have to make this effort. You have to think about what is it that you want to do, what is it that you should be doing right now, how it fits into your larger goal system, your larger life goals or career goals. How does it all fit in over there? And you're making a deliberate practice that, okay, considering all of these things, this is what I should be doing right now so that I can reap those benefits, those efforts. That's not easy. Like this highlight, what it says, it's not easy. It's okay, I'm probably thinking too much. It's a very straightforward highlight. Let's Yeah, that is what makes it deliberate as did. Yeah. So I think I'm probably ending up in my overthinking over here. So yeah, it is a straightforward highlight. Deliberate practice is hard, but that is what makes a difference in your goals. And that is what makes it distinct from mindless playing of scales or hitting of tennis balls. It's not, the author is not making a case against playing scales or hitting or playing tennis. The author is making a point that make it deliberate. What are you aiming for? Achieve that. Try to achieve that. Let's move on. Getting things done. Anything that does not belong where it is, the way it is an open loop, which will be pulling on your attention if it's not appropriately managed. So this refers to the idea of tasks not being completely laid out or completely broken down. Well, not completely broken down. At least the first action of the task not being identified, and that's what the author refers to. There is an open loop. There is this. there is um, this open task, and you have not identified different parts of it that you need to get started, and it's an open loop. It's going to keep calling your brain out. Now if you identify this open task, you break it down, at least the first action. You have put it down in a system, in the system that the book talks about, this writing down the first step that you need to do, and you put it in a system, a reliable system, where you know you're going to get that action when the time comes, and you're closing that open loop now. And that's what helps your brain move on to other tasks, or focus on the task that you should be doing at the moment. In other words, getting things done. Let's move on. Okay, so Readwise not only collects articles, sorry, not only collects highlights from book, it also collects highlights from articles and tweets. This tweet, I don't really recall. The study goes on to explore the tension and trade-offs between quality and productivity, especially specific this quality is something that. Yeah, I think I'm going to skip this because this is definitely a part of Twitter thread, and to actually make sense of this, I think I have to read the whole Twitter thread. So I'm just going to skip this right now. Oh, okay, another one, another part of a Twitter thread. So I'm going to skip this as well. From originals. If you're going to build a strong culture, it's paramount to make diversity one of your core values. So we have discussed diversity multiple times during this series, and how it's not just something that's good for the sake of doing it, or good because it should be done. Well, it should be done, it's the right thing to do, but it's not just that. It 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 significantly impacts your business. It significantly impacts your team composition, the kind of problems that you're going to solve in today's globalized world, today's diverse world. You simply cannot afford to have a homogeneous team. You need to have a team that understands, that comes from different viewpoints, that brings in different viewpoints, catches things that an individual or a homogeneous group of people can't. And bringing that diversity, excuse me, bringing that diversity is what makes business sense. It also makes for a strong culture. Again, the book goes into a lot of different examples of this particular thing. But yeah, core value of diversity, as in you're looking at diversity for almost every decision you need to make, during hiring, during marketing, for example, during a particular strategy that you're making. Diversity being a core part of those decisions would is what will make your culture more robust, more more able to withstand different scenarios that can come up in today's complex world. Let's move on. So good they can't ignore you. Managing computer systems might not generate a daily bliss that defined Thomas's old daydreams, but as he now recognized, nothing would. A fulfilling working life is a more subtle experience than his old fantasies had allowed. Which added, Thomas agreed that a good way of describing his transformation is that he came to realize a simple truth: working right trumps finding the right work. I think I mentioned about this book before. This is more of a treatise on why passion is not the right right target to, or the right thing to target when you are deciding your career, for example, or when you're deciding who to hire, or your general day to day life. When you're trying to decide, okay, this is the task that you need to do. Passion is not a great starting point, it is a great ending point. The book is not anti-passion. It says that, yeah, it has the right place, but if you're using passion to explain why you are starting something or why you're choosing a career, that's probably not enough. And this highlight shows such an example that someone named Thomas, it's that it's like he realizes that working right, that regular working. I'm forgetting the story of of this person, so I can't really comment very I can't comment a lot on this, but essentially it boils down to this. The from the last line I can relate that the book, it's a common theme during the book that you you work at something, you work to get good at it, and passion follows. And that is what that's what is more important. Passion is okay. You can find a lot of people who are passionate, but if they're not going to put work in it, the passion is not, it's misplaced. It's not going to really help anyone in the, it's not going to help the person, it's not going to help the person who employs them. But practicing, even if it's not something that you feel that you're passionate about, but you're working on it, you're working to get better at it, you're practicing, and eventually you will feel something which is very similar to passion. And that's the point of this whole book. It's a common theme that comes again, that's repeated throughout the book. So let's move on. This is the last highlight for today, and we have from the bonus highlight is from High Performance Habits. Often the journey to greatness begins the moment of our preferences for comfort and certainty are overruled by greater purpose that requires challenge and okay, I think this makes some sense, but yeah, again, I don't really know the context of this, so I'm just going to skip it. And that's the end for the end of the highlights today. I know today has been a little rough. I think I was a little distracted with everything going on, but yeah, it's done. There were a couple of highlights which didn't really have any. I mean, I couldn't really talk anything about it. But thank you for watching. It's been 3 weeks now, and it's been fun doing this on a daily basis. Well, at least weekday daily basis. Well, thank you everyone, and have a good day.